Okay, thank you. Person. All right, once again, welcome everybody to this meeting. We're going to be very fast because we have a lot of ground to cover. My name is Olivia Wami, and I'll be the person taking us on this tour of Bincom's organizational tools and processes. So let's start so we won't really waste much time. So this is just a way for us to understand the know-hows of Bincom, no matter what department you are really. So we're just going to explain what you need to know as a new team member, as an existing team member, just to broaden your knowledge on the tools that are being used in the organization, how to use most of these tools as well. So the objective at the end of the day, we're trying to make sure that this session is going to help with your task delivery and your efficiency in delivering those tasks. It's also going to help you understand the organization's culture in aspect of tools usage. Also help you know the do's and don'ts of each tools in the organization, tools you need to use, tools you don't need to use, and also understand the processes as well. So we use a lot of tools in the organization. This is just a way to broaden our horizon to be aware of those tools, really. So like I said before, there would be an evaluation afterwards. So please try to pay attention, call me back anytime you don't hear me or you missed out on something I have said. So the benefit of this session is just to increase work efficiency, like I said, help you know the tools in use currently in the organization, to also help you understand how those tools work, how to use them, and also understand the culture when it comes to these tools usage in the organization as well. So the stakeholders are the service owner, which is more or less someone from the pro service system and every team member in the organization. This is what we'll be discussing today. Everything you can see on my screen right now. We'll be talking about the communication channels, the policy in terms of communication, how to get involved in these communication channels, how to send out emails, how to use the productivity tools in the organization, how to use the mail merge app, the project management app, tax delivery app, as well, and so on. So let's really get into it. Like I explained before, this section is just a way for you to understand what tools are being used in the organization and the process to use these tools as well. The document is also going to help you answer questions like how you can do your communication, who you need to communicate to, how to submit your report, how does stand-up works, how does collaboration works, and so on. So first things first, their communication when in terms of Bincom Dev Center is we actually communicate using email, Slack, Zoom, and PC. Those are the formal communication channel in the organization. And if at any point in time you tend to make calls or talk to someone via WhatsApp, you need to also come back to Slack to actually relay those information so that other persons who are involved in whatever is going on can be aware of it, most especially your team lead. So it's in Bincom, everyone is supposed to acknowledge an information that has been sent out within 1 hour. This is very important. That's because a lot of things is going on at one point and certain people need something to be done within an hour or less. So once an information is sent, you're tagged in that information, either it's saying as channel directly to you, you need to acknowledge seeing that information. And also, well, if you're not on Slack, really, you're not at work because most of us are working remotely. You're also expected to answer any message or respond to messages within an hour. Like I said, any communication not done on Slack, which is a formal communication channel, will not be deemed as communication being done. So verbal communication needs to also be documented on Slack, either on Slack or via email, and then copy whoever is involved that needs to be copied. Zoom is another tool that is being used in the organization. Like most of us are aware, we use Zoom for things like knowledge development, weekly drill, emigrate session, community events, ICP career talk, as well as meetings with clients. So most of the time, we do everything we need to do on GC outside of our daily stand-ups. Sometimes project stand-ups also hold on Zoom, but it's actually dependent on the nature of that project and the teams involved. So sometimes when we talk about microservices like KD and community events and so on, the persons who are involved needs to live stream on YouTube. I'm sure we know this already. For those of us who don't know this, every sort of event, every microservice, most microservice actually needs to be live streamed. If you're using Zoom, it needs to be live streamed to YouTube. If you're using Jitsi, it also needs to be live streamed to YouTube as well. So we're going to just talk about how we live stream, right, from Zoom to YouTube. First of all, if you can see on my screen, there is actually a screenshot of how this works. You can also take out your time to do this personally using your personal account. If you have a YouTube channel, you can actually test this. The only thing you need to do is to come on Zoom. You need to open up your information, the more button, the three dots more button that has a list of options that you can then select to live stream on YouTube. It's going to really take you down to any account that is linked to your YouTube channel. For those of us in Bincom, there are certain persons who have access to the Bincom Dev Center YouTube account. So you will need to select the YouTube of Bincom Dev Center to successfully live stream on YouTube. Any other place you live stream will actually go to the Bincom Dev Center YouTube channel. So you need to ensure that the meeting link is open. You need to make sure that YouTube channel studio is open as well. Most of us would not actually do this in Bincom, but for the sake of moving forward in your career and so on, you might need to learn this for yourself as well. And also, if you're asked to just do it on maybe just do something like this impromptu, you'd also need to do this as well. So this is another way for you to do this. Once you get to the YouTube page, you can also just directly live stream by clicking on the icon you can see here. But most importantly, it's better you try to test this for yourself because you're just seeing a bunch of a bunch of things on the screen. But once you try it yourself, once or twice, you get the hang of it immediately. You can also schedule on YouTube as well. Most times, persons actually schedule, events, schedule classes on YouTube. We have something called the edit button where you need to change whatever it is that meeting is about. And then you also have the streaming key, which you need to input anywhere, especially when you're using Jitsi. You would actually need the secret key before you can live stream. So talking about creating links on Jitsi. Jitsi is another communication channel, a video telephonic app that we use in the organization. Jitsi is normally used for stand-ups, project-based stand-ups, daily stand-ups, and other really meetings. Income orientation as well is done. But if at one point you're actually asked to set up a meeting link, especially for project managers, you will need to just go to YouTube, just go to Jitsi with the name of the meeting title and put a sort of underscore. But because it's something that is related to Bincom Dev Center, you need to make it look just like this, Bincom Dev Center underscore whatever project team you are in or your project team, and then the name of your team and whatever project it is. So most of the time, the name would need to be approved by a senior team member or your team lead, just to make sure that you have it right. Once you have inputted, you have set it up, the URL is ready for use. You can, like I said, you can also live stream on Jitsi. And the same process, you have the start live stream, you need your unique key, that's your streaming key, to start this meeting. You will need to also edit the name of the meeting to make sure that you have it right. And once you paste the streaming key, you're good to go. I mean, is everybody with me? Let me just confirm, because I know I'm moving a bit fast, but let's just make sure everyone is with me so far.
We're together.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for the response. So let's talk about Slack, which is something we use on a day-to-day basis. First thing you do once you come on Slack every single day, you need to check in on Slack. That's the first thing you need to do. Why? Because Slack is the official communication channel between team members, and every sort of information happens on Slack. Now we have different workspace on Slack. Most of us are aware, most of us are not aware. But for the sake of this meeting, currently we have 3 Slack workspaces. We have the Bincom Dev Center where everybody is in. And then we have the Bincom Tech Network where things like you're given the chance to communicate with other techies around the world. So you can send messages, you can reach out, you can ask questions, you can get information like the weekly drill. You can also talk to certain members from the Bincom Academy classes as well. The Bincom Global Workspace is something that is existing but is not currently in use as of this time. But moving forward, because this is a thing that is actually growing, we'll start using them moving forward. So how do you join? You join the Dev Center workspace by getting an invitation from someone from Pro Services. But for the Bincom Tech Network, you actually you can get invited by the link. You just need to ask for the link from random channel. You can ask anybody. You can ask Olivia. You can ask someone from the Pro Services team as well for that. But currently, you can actually ask Olivia. She's the person who actually invites others to that workspace. And for you to be admitted into the workspace, you have to send your personal email address and not your work mail. So we have a lot of channels under Slack, like we know. There are some channels that most of us don't know about, but there are channels where everyone has access to. Really, we have the random channel where you can send anything from water cooling moment. You can ask questions. You can send memes, send jokes, whatever it is. You can send on the random channel. You can also wish people. You can send birthday messages and get well messages on the random channel as well. While we have the announcement channel where everything relating to general announcements, meetings, compulsory meetings, and microservices announcements, all of them are sent to the announcement channel. And remember, whenever you're tagged on the announcement channel, you need to acknowledge receipt of that message. It's very important because if you don't acknowledge receipt, it's assumed you are not at work that day, even if you're at work and you check them. So we also have the general channel where only persons from the Pro Services team and management can actually send messages to. And any message sent to that channel is of the highest priority. So you need to look at it, read it, acknowledge it, ask questions if you have questions. This is how the general channel looks like. This is just a sample of it, but you can easily go through it on your Slack and just see the sort of information you can find on it. Rarely messages do come from the general channel, but when they do, you know that, yeah, this is something you need to look at. This is also a sample of how the announcement channel looks. You can see at this top, hashtag announcement. So that's how GT really, show their channels. There is always a hashtag something, hashtag announcements, hashtag random, hashtag same name. So if it's the Python team, PMO team, my circle team, and all of that. Then this is just also a sample of how the random channel looks like. Remember, you can send any sort of random messages, but you should not go against policies, decency policies, really. So you need to send things that are professional, even if they are anything at all. Then there are also times when you'll be asked to create channels, especially for project teams, but sometimes teams from the other teams, so the pro services team, the dev team, would also need to create private channels for projects, products, and services as well. So the only thing that you need to do is we have this right here. You can get this by clicking on this button at the top of your Slack channel, and you need to create a channel. Please note that any channel you create must have someone from the pro services. So currently we have Comfort, we have Peculiar, we have persons from the management team, like we have Bade Adesemowo, Modi, Faith, Olainka. Your team lead also has to be on that channel as well. So whoever your team lead is, your team lead has to be there. Whoever is involved in that project, that product or service needs to also be added to that team as well. So how do you install Slack? You can install Slack from Play Store, from Apple Store, and also from other websites as well. So this is a site called APK Pure. So if you scroll down according to the image you can see, you will be able to find other versions of Slack that will suit your device. So just a way to remind us, currently there is actually an update from Slack that by 1st or 31st of March 2023, Slack would not be working on certain devices. So if you are one of those persons that are affected, you need to start planning right now on how to rectify that issue, because you use Slack every day from 8 to 5:30 to make sure that you answer to messages and you are online as well for that day. So for official emails are gotten they are gotten for you by someone from the pro services team, and it involves your full name, .bincom@gmail.com. It's very important that you don't give out your nickname while you're asked for your name for your email to be set up. Your official email should be used for everything official, like sending out emails. You're going to receive emails as well, only on your official email when it comes to anything concerning Bincom. And your SIM email would also be attached to your mail. So depending on whatever team you are, if it's the PHP, Python, PMO, infrastructure, you would also be getting some mails sent to your official email. So if you are in any of those teams and someday you wake up, you look at your email and you have emails from concerning something you don't know, that's because you're part of a team and the team needs to get that email. And for sending out emails, most of us will actually have to do this. You need to make sure that you have the subject of that email, and you must send that email from your team's email account. So if you go to Google email, right, and you're trying to send an email, I don't think we have a screenshot. You're trying to send an email, you see your email name come up, and then you have something called to and then CC. So if you click the from, if there's a drop down, you see your personal official email, and then you see your team email as well. So you need to go with your team email and not your official mail. And you're to send such emails, like I said, using your team's mail. You should also copy your team as well. Copy senior, either you copy the CCO or any management person or pro services, whoever needs to be copied in that mail. But if you're not aware of who needs to be copied, you need to ask your team lead. Your team lead is going to be aware of that. So for example, we have the PMO Bincom ICT team. Whenever emails are going out, it's being sent out from pmo@bincom.net, and pmo.bincom.net is also copied. The CTO is also copied as well, and it's sent to any client, anybody we need to send that email out to. So we use Gmail currently in the organization, which is also known as Google Mail. It's very popular and it's being used for a number of reasons. I know there are a lot of emails out there, but moving forward, we're going to see why the organization uses Gmail and other suits from Google rather, that we utilize in the organization. So this is how it looks like. This is the compose when sending out emails. A lot of us are already familiar with this, but for the sake of those who don't regularly use emails, this is also for you. And you can see this drop down button right here is what I'm talking about. So this person is using what you can see is the person's official email. But if you click on this drop down, you see the team's email. So you have to click on that. Attach whoever is the receiver with the subject. Most of us will have signatures. If you don't have signature, you can request for one, but really it's not that compulsory. And informations like from is who you are, to is simply who is receiving the message. The CC is for the carbon copy, who is going to be a receiver of that email. And then if you don't want, if you want other persons to receive that email, but you don't want anybody to know apart from you, you have to use the BCC as well. And then you have your subjects. Once you're done with this, you need to go through it again, especially if you're sending out to clients, you need to go through it, go through that email again before sending. Most times you're asked to draft that email, send to your team lead or team mentor to review before sending it out. So we have other additional features from Gmail. We have the redo and previous, we have different fonts, we have font sizes, the bold, the italic, underscore, underline, we have colors as well, the background and the text color. You have the arrangements, whether you want it to be on the left-hand side, the middle, or the right-hand side, you have that. You have the numbering and bullet points, I don't really know what it's really called, but it's actually something that helps you push your text either to the left-hand side or the right-hand side. You have quotes, and this unique button here is something that I would say you should go and try. Try copying something from Slack, pasting it on your Gmail, and then just copy everything and click on this. It's going to show you something really unique. And yeah, most times you can actually use that. So you cannot actually cancel a message once it's sent. That's something that, yeah, indents. Thank you so much for that, Bala. So this is actually called indents. Thank you for sending that. So once you send out an email, you cannot retract that email. So it's very important that you go through it, make sure everything is formatted correctly, your spellings are correct as well. If you want to really check if the statements and sentences that were used are correct, you can also use something called Grammarly. Grammarly is a free application that you can use just to check your grammar format and all. So we have basic things in Gmail. We have the start, anything you want to look at very quickly. You have the snooze for reminders. You have the send, which is where you can see emails that have been sent from years ago. So we also have the draft. Anything that you haven't sent, just save on your Gmail. So this is an example of what it looks like. So we have right here is someone inbox. You can see how the thing is like, and you have the sender's name, you have the subject always showing, and you can also schedule meetings directly from Google as well, and also Hangouts. So if you're familiar with Hangouts, it's just a subsidiary of Gmail, and you can use it on your directly from your Gmail as well. This is also how you can look at Gmail. Just click on anything you want to click, and you can see the body of the email immediately. And while you're replying, this is something that most of us will be doing. You have two ways to reply to an email. You can either reply to a specific person who is the sender, anybody that sends email to you, or you can reply to everybody on that email. So for instance, I'm sending an email to Collins, and I need to copy my team, which is PMO Bincom Global, and I also need to copy one of the founding persons from the organization. Once I send that email, Collins can decide to either reply only to me or by clicking on reply, or he can reply to everybody that was copied and that was copied in that email. And all he has to do is reply to all. That email can also be forwarded to anybody. And interestingly, you can also print out that email as well. You can print it in PDF form with it. So if you have something you need to do, for example, I'll give us an example. You have been invited to speak in a community event, and you are intending to utilize one of the career packages, not only the career package, but immigration package, I think. Yeah. And let's say one of the criteria is really bringing out proof of you speaking in events and speaking in whatever thing you actually, did speak at. You just print out the email you got from the company or the business you spoke at. And it's really just, a sample or a sort of evidence from you. You don't have to go to a cyber cafe. You don't really need a printing machine. You just need to click on the word print and you have that. You can really just try it out for yourself. Gmail is really interesting these days. So when you're writing emails, things you need to know is you must be formal. You must have your name signed as well. So if you don't have a personalized signature, you can just end that email with your full name. For instance, you can just use Olivia Wami. That's not your full name, that's mine. So you can use something like that to end it. And you can use templates if that is, a recurring email. And in most cases, you can generate a new email as well. So this is what a signature looks like, but you may not have it. So you can just use just your name. But if you need a signature created for you, you can send a message to tech support and tag our current tech support personnel is Alex Michael. So you can tag Alex Michael, or you can tag the service. You can tag the service manager. Currently, that's Olaoluwa Ogunleye, to just help you create your own signature. So let's move to the tools. But before we start, please let me just hear from anyone. Do we have any questions currently? Are we together? Any question? No question. You can always say no question.
Okay. You just answered my question on how to request for signature.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So let's move on to productivity tools. We have a bunch of productivity tools while using Google. We have a lot of Google Suites. So we have the Gmail, which is where you send emails to. You have the Google Drive, which is where you do any of your storage. You have the Google Sheets, that's let's say a substitute. Yeah, let me use a substitute of Excel sheets. So it's really where you can do any of your data logging and all that. So we have the Google Word as well, where it's just it's like Microsoft Word. So any of your wordings, what sort of documents, reports, documentation is normally done there. And then we have the Google Slide, which most of us use for our KD slides as well. So there are a lot. There's still Google Form. You have the Google Calendar. You also have other things like where you can get news from, where you can also do like a sort of, I think, what's it called now? Blogging as well. So if you really need to know more, you can just check your Google Sheets. I'll show you how to get that directly from your Gmail as well. So we use Google productivity tools for easy collaboration. It helps you collaborate with any number of persons. I don't think there is actually a limit to that currently, but any number of persons can use that. And this made Bincom and other organizations globally, save time, increase their productivity as well. So if you're using Chrome, you can easily get the Google Suite from me. Just see a list of Google Suites from this three button. If you're on Gmail, you can also see the same point where it is at the top right corner of your screen as well. So this is how it looks like. You can see the Google Play, you can see Blogger Collection, Classroom, News, YouTube, which most of us use. You can also save your contacts directly on your Gmail. So if you're someone that really doesn't know how to, keep phones, right? Your phones are always going bad. You can always attach your contacts directly to your Gmail. So no matter any phone you use, if your phone just go blind just like that, you can easily get all of your contacts by just signing into your account using a different phone. So it's very easy, really multi-purpose. So this is how the Google Sheets looks like. Remember I said it's for data log and all of that. We also use this as an extension as part of the mail merge app as well, which is something that we'll be seeing very soon. So this is how it looks like. You can see this button here is where you actually share this document with whoever you need to share these documents with. But we'll still talk about this moving forward. But please remember at the back of your mind that any sort of document you create while you're in Bincom and it has to do with Bincom, you need to make sure that a Gmail account called bincomict@gmail.com is the owner of that account, is the owner of that document. It's very important. It actually just helps us keep track of documents created, just in case you're unavailable or you left the organization. So this is how the Google Docs looks like. You can actually draft your resume. You can draft letters, proposals, brochure, reports, meeting minutes, and so much more really using the Google Doc. You can see this is a sample of how the Google Slide is. Google Slide is what I'm currently using. And interestingly, you can now post animations on your Google Slide. So you have different sort of animations you can use. You can just go to animate, click on whatever you need to click on. If it's the heading, the body, the template itself, or the canvas itself, you can then animate that. Also, you can share these documents. You can set up a meeting directly on these documents to share with whomever you need to share. And if you need to, look at this document, just as you can see right here, you just click on slideshow, and it's very easy. It just widens on your screen. So we have the Google form, which is where forms are actually created. Forms like our weekly reports was actually created using the Google form. And we'll really still talk more on how to create one. So first things first, you need to go to where the form is. Remember, you can get that directly from your Chrome or from your Gmail. The three buttons, you just need to click on that. You can also get this from your Drive as well. You click on the three buttons, select forms. This is a blank form. You can use a blank form or existing form as a template for yourself. And once you click on it, it opens an empty new form where you can just customize to whatever you need to customize to. And like I said, for whatever official documents that you create, you need to make bincomict@gmail.com the owner of that document. And you also need to make sure that that document is saved to the right folder on Google Drive. Everything has a Google Drive that is for them. So you need to make sure that you have created a folder for whatever you need to do. If you're handling a client, you need to create a folder for that client. If you're handling a project, you need to create a folder for that project. If you're handling a product or a service, you also need to create a folder for both of them and make bincomict@gmail.com the owner of that folder and document. So before we get to really mail merge, do we have any question currently? Mail merge is going to be a really long session. So any question currently? Are we together?
Yes, before you are able to make bincomict@gmail.com the owner of any doc, don't you need to have access to bincomict@gmail.com?
No, you don't. You just need to share that document with Bincom. Let me just try to show you quickly how it looks like, and so we can see. So we have these documents right here. This is what you need to do. You need to share quickly. So you can see this is bincomict@gmail.com. But if it initially wasn't the owner, what I need to do is I need to type the name, Bincom ICT, right? I do this editor, and then I send. So once I've sent, it automatically reflects here, right? And what I'll need to do, I'll need to click on something like this. I'll say transfer ownership, or because this is not my document, that's why you're saying remove access. But if it's my documents, right, I'll say something like transfer ownership. Once I click on this drop down, and you just transfer ownership to Bincom ICT. I don't know if you understand.
Yes, it's clear. It's clear.
All right. So let's move to mail merge app. Mail merge is simply a way for us to send emails to a lot of persons at once. It's easy once you've done it a couple of times, but once you're looking at it for the first time, you might get confused, but you can always ask for a developer who has been assigned to manage the mail merge activity in the organization to help you with that. Currently, we have Oluwaseun Hadizad. So you can always reach out to her from tech support, and she can help you with your mail merge if you need to set up one. So to set up mail merge, you need to look at something called the app script. It's going to be given to you. That's why I say you can actually ask for a developer for help. It's really easier. And for setting up, you need your Google Drive, you need the destination and designated folder. That's if you're sharing attachments with an email that you intend to send. You need to also create a Google Sheet where we have content like the name, the image body, the email, send receipt, whatever information you need to get is on that Google Sheet. And then we need to also edit the app script. You'll see a sample of it shortly. We also need to create our content templates and then synchronize the content templates and then the attachment as well. So your Google Drive is easy to locate. This is just something you can type on your browser and then your drive come up. So dependent, this is actually dependent if you're signed into that browser, really. So even if you're using Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Chrome, if you're signed in and you use this link, it automatically opens your Google Drive for you. So this is how the drive looks like. If you're not making use of your Google Drive, please, I would advise that you start doing so. It's very easy for you to lose things if everything is stored on your phone. You can actually save your images on the drive. You can save documents on the drive. You can really save anything at all. I don't think there's really a restriction. You can also save APKs. So if you have games, application, you can save those APKs on the drive as well. So this is what the drive looks like I was saying. And the first thing we need to do is to create a folder. You're creating a folder if you need to send attachments to any emails as well. Once you're intending to use the mail merge, you need to name that folder to whatever it is you need to do. For this, we have the mail merge training, and then create a Google Sheet. The Google Sheet is just where we outline whatever we need on that document outline. You need to also name that Google Sheet just for you to keep track of the Google Sheet. And once you've done that, you can see there are a list of things that are part of the Google Sheet. We have the file edits and we have extensions, which is what we need to look out for. So once you click on extension, you have the app script. You click on app script and just delete whatever you have there. Remember, it's better for you to do this with the developer that has been assigned to manage the mail merge in your organization, so you won't actually do something wrong. And you have to copy the app script from wherever you've copied it from and then paste here. So this is what it looks like. This is just a sample really of what it looks like. You can then save. Once you've saved, you can run this app script. Lots of process, I know, but you can always test this with the developer if at one point you'll be asked to send out emails using mail merge. So once you have done that, you click to review permission. You choose the email you are accessing the mail merge from. It has to be your official email. and then you have to click on advanced just to accept the script to run. And once you go to this, really it's a bunch of permission you need to allow. You need to allow that permission, and you have synchronized what you need to synchronize, and that's your script. So there's sometimes there are certain things we need to change, like the email address. We need to change the support email and also the body ID. And like you can see, these are the parts you need to really change from line 13 to line 15. And it's really self-explanatory, but sometimes it's not. So you can always ask for help while you're trying to do this. You can also ask someone from the pro-services team to be in that meeting to just explain to you in lay terms if you are not really familiar with developer terms as well. We need to create the Google Docs where we have our email content, and you also need to note that you can create and synchronize several Google Docs for a particular mail merge. So this is what we'll need to do. If you're sending to a bunch of people and you need to use their first name, you need to just say hello name. If you're using name, if on your Google Sheets, the person's, what is reflecting as the person's name is name. But if not, if you have like full name, that's what would need to be here. And once you send out that script, or once you send out that email, rather, it's just going to show the person's name. So we have a sample of what I mean here. We have the hello name. And normally, once you see this unique, what's it called now?
Parentheses.
Yeah, parentheses. Thank you for that. Once you see those unique parentheses, that means that there is actually a uniqueness of it on your Google Sheets. Really, remember I said it's really a lot of words, but it's really easy for you to understand once you've done it once or twice. So you also have to take the ID of that content document because it needs to be pasted on your app script, which is on line 15. And this is how it looks like. So remember we saw name, right? We saw agent. So these are the things that would really reflect once you send out that email. And we have the program, which is the title of the email that will be sent. Excuse me. We have the due dates, the receipts, email body, and so on. So this is just a long list, but sometimes we don't really need much of this. We just need the name, the email address, the email body, and maybe if we get like a receipt once that email is sent. So you have like the email sent option as well on the Google Sheets. So this is how it looks like once you have synchronize your Google Doc and you've had your templates. This is how it looks like, right? But we'll see really the end result of all of this things. So we have the folder that we talked about that you need to create if you're having any attachments that is going to go out with that email, and you need to really copy, and since we're really using the same folder for all of the receipts, so you just need to copy the ID and then paste into the receipt column on the sheet, which is what we have here as folder. So we also copy the URL to the email body. We paste it also on the Google Sheet. So things that you need your Google Drive set up on your browser. You need your Google Docs. You need your Google Sheets, because these are the three things that you would need while you are sending out this email. So you have gone through all that. You've seen everything we need to see. Remember, you need to do this by yourself because I think practice really makes perfect. And once we've come back to our Google Sheets, this is what we'll see. We'd actually see mail merge attached. Remember, we saw tools, extensions, and help. But once we have set up our app script, then we have mail merge as another option on the Google Sheet. So you create your attachment, you have to you have to paste the URL of that attachment. For here, we're using invoice, and then you also have to paste the attachment ID as well. Now, the ID is it's just a bunch of letters and numbers really that you see on the URL, but it's after it's after ID. You can see ID slash on your URL. So after this slash, every other thing that comes after it is what you actually use as your ID, just as you can see here. You can see the D slash blah, 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 and then that's what you really need to paste. Now attachment has been created. So let's check the invoice folder for confirmation. Remember, this process is like this. If you are sending an attachment to out with that email, but if you're not sending an attachment, the process is much shorter. And here is what the attachment really looks like. You're created in a PDF format, and anyone can view if they have the link to it. So what really shows on that email is just the link to that attachment. They click on it and they're able to just view whatever is contained, because really you have given everybody that has access to the links a way to view. So you're sending out your emails. Once you click on send emails, you need to type in the email body and OK, and then the email is sent. And this is how it looks like. This is the end result, really. So we have the name, hello name, we have the agent's name, right? And then we have the attachments as well. So if you click on this attachment, because you're being sent this email, you have access to it and you can view whatever is there. Are we together so far before we move on to the next? Any question? No question. You can always say no question, really.
That was much and fast too. I don't know.
Yes.
Yes. Will we have access maybe to this document for viewing, just to read it again? I don't know.
Yes.
That can.
Yes, every team member is private to this document, so you can always ask for it from someone from the pro services team, and it will be shared with you.
Okay.
All right. So let's see how we can automate Google Form for feedback messages. Remember, this session cuts across not just the dev team, but also the project management team, product management team, the service management team, the customer service team, and the marketing team, as well as the pro services team. So we have everything for everybody on this document. So sometimes you see something that you have never really done before, or you would not open to, but it's for the purpose of you knowing, just in case you're asked to do it. So we're just going to see how we can automate forms. Remember, you can create forms on Google, and this is actually an extension of the Mail Merge app that allows you to send customized emails to multiple people at the same time. So how do you actually go about this? The first thing you need to do is you need to create a form. You need to input the primary information. You need to generate a response sheet, add the email body. You need to get the mail merge code in the app script. You need to set up triggers and then test to make sure that it works. So primary things you need to get is something like the name, email, phone number, activity, solution, services, whatever it is that form is about. And this is how it is. This is really how a form looks like. So you can change all of these information to whatever it is that you're trying to do. So if you're looking for a way to get reviews on maybe a product or you're currently working on personally, you can just create a form and send to, and share with people for them to just give you feedback. And this is how we can then set up our responses, right? You see on the form, this is how the form looks like, right? And then once you are going to the edit part of the form, we see options like questions, responses, and then settings. So once we click on the response option, you have to click on the logo of the Google Sheets to generate a response sheet. So this is how this response sheet looks like. We have the timestamp, we have the email, the name, and a couple of information really. How do you feel? And we have phone number, email body, you know. So this is something that is sent back to whoever has filled that form, but we want it to be automated. So once the person fills a form, they immediately get this email. They immediately get an email depending on what the email is really about. So you need to copy and paste the code from the app script, just like we did for mail merge. Remember, you need to practice this yourself because it's a lot of explanation and really no practical. And then we have something like the email body, the email sent. You need to create a response message and connect your response message just like the mail merge app, and then activate triggers. So the trigger is just if you fill a form, it triggers the software to just send you an automated message. So it sends you an email immediately. For instance, I want to get let's say I want to get a mobile application from Alasan. I don't know if it's part of the mobile app thing really, but I want to get a mobile application from Alasan, and he's saying, okay, this is my form. Just give me brief information about what this mobile app is going to be. And once I filled that form and then, submitted, and once I submit the form, I'll get a response from Alasan saying that, oh, we have received your form and we'll keep in touch with you after 3 days or after 5 days, something like that. So I know that some of us have actually submitted certain kind of forms or fill something online, and within 5 minutes you're getting a response immediately, and the response is saying, thank you for reaching out to us, or thank you for submitting our form. We'll get back to you in maybe 2 business days and all of that. So that's really what it's about. So we go with the same process, right? We change settings from line 13 to line 15 again, and really ensure that we've added the email body and then the email sent, just to make sure that the email has been sent or not sent. We can be able to monitor it. And to really create a response message, you have to have created a Google Doc, and then you have to do a synchronization to your response, just like we did in slide 79. So like I said, this document is accessible to anyone who needs it. So you can just easily request for it to go through it yourself. So we'll need to copy the document link and paste the document link in the response sheet on the app script line 15 as well. So now we'll need to add triggers. The trigger is something that you can see here. You click on the alarm icon here, and then you click on trigger, because once you click on that, this is what shows. So you add certain information on the trigger. How do you like it? What do you want it to be about? You choose what the function should run on, choose how the deployment should be, select the event source. So you can really change, to send customized notification. You can just change whatever option you need to change here. And you need to now scroll down to find this, then change to on form submit. So once somebody has submitted the form, they just get that response immediately. And you save, you add trigger for untitled projects, and then you click on save as well. So that's really all you need to do. Once you're done activating the trigger, you can fill the Google form and then try to submit and see how it looks like. So before we move to the next, are we together? Any questions? No question. You can always say no question as well. Okay. Yeah, certain people I haven't heard from. I haven't heard anything from Petia, Elijah, Taiwo. Please confirm you're still on this call, and I've just heard from Alasan and Collins. So Taiwo, are you on this call? Your camera is turned on. Elijah, are you on this call? Fatia, are you on this call?
I am.
Yes, I am. It's a little bit noisy. That's why I'm saying.
All right. Thank you for that response. Any question? No question. You can always say no question and we'll move on. Okay. So let's talk about Trello. Trello is a productivity application. You can monitor your projects, your workflow, your tasks. You can add files, checklists. You can actually do a number of things on Trello, a lot of things really on Trello, and it's just a way for you to manage your projects, a way for you to also manage products and services, as well as daily tasks. You can definitely manage your daily tasks from Trello as well. So the platform has convenient features. You can easily upload files. You can remind your team members to double check their work. You can also integrate your email so that you can reply to Trello text from the email client. You can also get notified on updated tags, new tags, and pending tags as well. There's also color-coded labels for some of us that really like things to be, creative looking. You can also customize your theme, and it's very mobile friendly as well. So how do you use Trello is to really organize whatever thing you need to organize. I would say is a tool for organizing from day-to-day activity to project-based and product-based activity. So if you're a product or project manager in Bincom, a standard workflow is supposed to have pending, to do, planning, plan review and approval, implementation, progress reports, completed, documented, documentation, delivered, close, follow up. This is how it actually needs to look like. So we have the pending, we have the to do, and we can easily move these tasks once they are actually done. So if you have something, a task that needs to be done, for example, let me use something I do every day. I need to eat by 10 a.m. It's a pending thing I need to do, really. But before I eat, what do I need to do? I need to kind of, sort out what the exact meal is going to be. So if I decide to eat rice, I can say pending meal for today is rice. And time to do, you move to do, yes, I'll make rice. Planning, really, it's just for you to monitor the progress of whatever thing you're doing based on what level it is at that moment. So for you to get access to your team's Trello board, you need to request access. Your team lead can grant you access. Someone from the management team can do that. Someone from post services team can do that if they have access to it. But most times, your team lead will be the one that have granted you access to the Trello board. And a normal looking Trello board looks like this. So if it's your first time, this is how a Kanban template looks like. We know what Kanban really is. Kanban is just a framework of project management. So this is what it really looks like, but you can customize this to suit what you want. So this can be changed. You just have to tap on it and you can rename it same as this, and so on. You can also add people to tasks, just like you can see here, and just like you can see on my screen. And we have a bunch of options that we can do. We have different cards, settings. Trello really is a very interesting productivity tool. So you can easily get Trello for yourself and practice on it. And Trello is not something that is just used by project or product managers. It can also be used by developers as well. I'll say recently, a lot of persons have been advising their developers to really keep track of their work because they can always get spammed, always face bugs and all of those things. Just for them to make sure they have everything arranged properly. You can also use Trello board for yourself. You can pick tasks as well. If you need more information on how Trello board works, you can easily go to Trello. Trello has a blog where they, explain ways that you can really track your tasks on Trello. Now we have the brand manual. The brand manual is a document that contains guidelines and important information as well that you need to know as a member of Bincom Dev Center. So the Bincom ICT brand manual is just something that contains what the logo is, really what the branding is from the logo, the font, the colors, just for you to really understand how this works, because you might tend to create designs, create videos, create newsletters as a member of the Bincom ICT team. So you need to know that as well. So we have the Bincom Dev Center brand manual that contains everything concerning the branding of Bincom Dev Center. And you need to know things like the colors, the logo, the font. You can easily get all of this as well by just really clicking on the link that you can see. Social Lender also has its own brand manual for you to easily understand everything branding when we talk about Social Lender. Now, before we move forward, I think we're almost done really. Do we have any questions so far? No question, you can always say no question and we'll move on.
No question.
All right. Thank you for that, Alassane. So let's talk about WordPress. WordPress is a content management system that is used currently in the organization. A lot of us, I think, must have been asked to manage or work on one WordPress website or the other, either as a developer or as an editor. And it's very easy. It's a very easy, content management system to use. You can easily develop a portfolio, a blog, a store, set up your business on WordPress. We were actually using Joomla as the default content management system previously in Bincom, but because we're now moving to WordPress, everyone needs to have an idea of how it works. So before you can actually, get added to any WordPress site, you need to request access on tech support. So we have few websites that uses WordPress currently. We have the Bincom.net, blog.bincom.net, bincomdevcenter.net, and the blog of Social Lender. So at one point, if you're really asked to manage any of this, you need to request access before you can do anything on it. So if this is the first time of you seeing what WordPress really looks like, this is WordPress for whatever thing you want to create. For if you want to draft a post, and that's an article, a blog post, it's very easy for you to do so. You just need to add the name of that post, type whatever thing you need to type, save as draft. You can preview how it looks like and then just easily publish. You can either decide to publish immediately or set a timer for when you need it to publish. And you can also decide to stick it to the top of your blog, or you should just follow whatever arrangement that you have set up. So this is something that we did. This is just a sample. Like I said, the title of the post you want to make, this is it, and then whatever content that is the body of that post would follow suit. So right here, we can see the publish button. If you click on this, you can easily, publish, and you can get the URL to that post that you have published. Most times you can see, this button called view post if it's the first time you're posting on that WordPress site, and you can just click there to view the post. So if you're creating a WordPress site, you need that site to be attractive, and well, it's very easy. You can also use templates really to also make sites, but for developers, I'm sure they have much more experience on how this works. But for some of us who are not developers, WordPress is very easy to use. You have templates. I'm not a developer, I use WordPress. So you have templates that you can customize. You can use something called the drop and pick and drop button, where you can just shift anything you want to shift. Just pick it and then drop it anywhere you want to drop it, from images, options, icons for images, drop down buttons, videos, YouTube videos, and so on. So we have another tool called Canva. Canva is just a design tool that is used by, I can say, almost everybody in the organization, because we use it for social media, graphics. We can also use it for presentations. I use mine for presentations. You can use Canva for posters, for documents, and other visual content. Currently, you can also upload Google Docs. You can also upload slides, that's what's it called now? PPT, that's PowerPoint formatting as well on Canva. And this is how Canva looks like. You need to have an account in Canva for you to use Canva. And you have a bunch of templates on Canva as well. So this is actually the old format. You can see presentation, social media, video. You can also customize the size of the canvas you intend to use. You have the option of also storing your projects based on the folders that you decide to store them with. And you can also share, you can also get documents or get canvases shared with you as well. So if you're a member of Bincom, it's very important for you to know how to make use of Canva for designs, in case you need to do quick designs for marketing efforts, for yourself, for a couple of posts as well. You can also use Canva to do that. It's mostly for persons who are not really familiar with graphic design tools like Photoshop, Figma, and Sketch, and all of that. So you can also use Canva for yourself. Very easy for you to create a design using Canva. You have a couple of options you can choose from that already exist, or a special one which is to your liking, which is called the customized size. You can also edit your photos on Canva. You can also import files on Canva. So here we see this is how Canva really shows. You can schedule on Canva as well if you really prefer. So we have the elements, templates you can choose from, elements you can choose from, whatever file you've uploaded. You can upload videos, images, what else? You can upload logos, you can upload music, audios, insert your text, really whatever kind of thing you want to do, you can do on Canva. It's very easy to use. It's it has templates you can really customize, so you don't really need to crack your head to visualize how you want it to be like. So next we have the password management tool. We use a lot of passwords in the organization, which I'm sure we are all aware of. Currently in the organization, we use LastPass as our password management tool, but soon we'll be moving away from LastPass, and everyone would be aware of it. So currently, you just need to register with your official email on LastPass. That's if you actually want passwords to be shared with you. Passwords cannot be shared with you via Slack, via email. It's actually prohibited in the organization. So you need to create a LastPass account using your official email. Make sure that your master password is safe. And once you have created your LastPass, you can then send email, that share email, and you can also receive, you can share passwords, and also receive passwords as well. This is just a dashboard of how LastPass looks like, but you can always try this for yourself by creating one. Your LastPass can also be linked to other applications like Facebook, Instagram, Trello, whatever really, your Gmail as well. You can also use LastPass can also be linked to them, and that's if you're using really the Chrome browser. Not sure you can you have an extension for LastPass on Microsoft Edge or Firefox at this time. So we have a way for us to share passwords. The only thing you need to do once you want to share password is you need to click on this item, which has two persons really together. You need to paste the recipient's email address and then share with the person. So most times you're able to share to just a single person, sometimes more, but dependent on how your LastPass really is like. And internally, you're only expected to share password to someone's official email address and not their personal email address. So before we move down to documentations, do we have any questions so far? No question, you can always say no questions, and then we can move to documentation.
No question.
All right, thank you, Alasan. Any question from Collins, Taiwo, Elijah, Fatia?
Oh, no, none from me.
All right, thank you, Collins.
No problem.
Okay, thank you, Elijah. So let's move to documentations. Documentation is something that we do all the time in the organization, ranging from daily reports, weekly reports, project documentation, service documentation, monthly reports as well. So we have different formats that documentations they look like, but the go-to or say always same sort of way is the document has to have your project title or activity title, the status, the problem encountered, how it was resolved. If you're building a solution, how you went about building that solution from step to step. So you also need to submit your documentation after it has been shared with your team. So if you're working with if you're a developer working with a project manager, it must be shared with the project manager. The project manager needs to go through it to make sure that there are certain things that they need to see on that document. And it also needs to be reviewed by your team lead. It needs to be reviewed by the dev team lead before being sent to documentation at Bincom.net. And while you're sending that documentation, you need to make sure that the subject mail matches the title of the documentation so that it can be easily tracked. So now let's talk about organizing meetings. Like we know, we have meetings from time to time in the organization. So while you're trying to organize a meeting for yourself, there are certain things that you need to put in place. You need to know the purpose of that meeting. You need to invite the right people. You need to have an agenda. Try to encourage the participants or the attendees to prepare in advance. You need to assign roles. You need to start the meeting on time. You can use the parking lot technique if you want, and keep track of the meeting notes and then send a recap for that meeting. Especially if you're meeting with a client, this is for the project and product managers in the room. You need to make sure that a follow-up email and a meeting recap, you can call it the minutes of the meeting is actually sent after that meeting has been had. So just state the purpose. It's important that everybody knows why they have been called to attend that meeting. You need to invite the right people, make sure who needs to be there is there. If you don't know who needs to be on that meeting, ask questions so that the schedule would be properly done and you're not inviting anyone who is not completely necessary to be in that meeting. You need to also develop a preliminary agenda. What is the discussion of that meeting? You need to jot it down somewhere so that once the meeting starts, everything is on track. You're taking off things that needs to be discussed, which are the action points, and everybody stays on track as well. So everyone needs to prepare, encourage your attendees to prepare in advance so that they have a way of being, feeling like a part of the meeting. So it's not just come for this meeting, they don't have an idea of what the meeting is about. you're not sending a sort of indication of what the meeting is about, maybe a title of the meeting, right? For example, it can be a kickoff meeting for the development of a healthcare application. So if somebody sees that and like, okay, they can easily do a research for themselves. What does a kickoff meeting look like? How do we start when we want to start developing a health tech app? Just to make sure that, yeah, they have things to talk about as well, questions that they may ask if they actually have questions. And you need to also assign roles to participants. So if you can do something like assigning someone to be a timekeeper, you can assign someone to kind of jot down what needs to be jotted down. You can also have someone who is good with leadership skill, be present there so that really we can have everyone feel like a part of the team and contribute and make sure that the team moves forward and the purpose of that meeting is also achieved at the end of the day. You also need to start the meeting on time, which is very important. But most times in the organization, a lot of people come to meeting late, which is very bad. If the meeting is supposed to start by 10 a.m., you need to be there before 10 a.m. You can be there by 9:58, so that once it's 10 a.m., the meeting can start and everybody who is leaving leaves on time. Virtual meeting is just like physical meeting. If you come to a meeting, let's say if you come to a wedding that's supposed to start by 12, you come to that wedding by 2. The wedding is not going to end at 2 that is supposed to end. Instead, it's going to be extended because a lot of persons came late and then they had to start late. So it's the same thing for virtual meeting as well. You can use the parking lot technique to stay on track. This is just a way for you to keep track and be on time during the meeting. You start by explaining to your team members that you only have a set of amount of time for the meeting and you have certain things to talk about and you don't want to deviate from that the meeting agenda. You can also use that technique on time. You can also use a tool to just really keep track of the parking lot technique also. So you can keep track of meeting notes and the next step. So you can assign someone to, kind of be the notes keeper during the meeting. You can use an application like Fellow that allows you to write notes and cross out discussion points as the meeting evolves. You can also use private note session to record your thoughts, share meeting notes easily with all of your collaborators. Recently, people actually use Miro for this, so you can also use that as well. And the last thing is for you to send a recap of what the meeting, just do that in bullet points. You can use Google Docs to do that. It's very much easy for you to use Google Docs. Once you are done with that, you can easily just download it as a PDF and send, or you can just draft it as an email and then use it as an email body and also send as well. So if you're using the Fellow application, you can easily share the recap via email with this option, send via Slack, or copy the email to that meeting recap. So if we are booking meetings, on the other hand, we have several ways to book meetings. You can book meetings using the Google Calendar. This is much better because there are certain things that there are certain meetings that you may need to be in attendance for, and those meetings are going to be scheduled with your email, your official email in mind, so you can easily check your Google Calendar to search for this. It's very easy for you to set up a meeting. You just have to pick the dates the meeting is going to hold. You need to add the title of that meeting. You need to add the time as well. We have this here. You need to add the guest. You can also use the Google Meet as where you want to hold that meeting, or you can decide for yourself and use a different venue, maybe Zoom, maybe Skype, maybe Microsoft Teams. if you wish to, but you can also use Jitsi as well. Jitsi has its own link directly on Google Calendar. So this is how a sample of how it looks like. You have the title. It's really just an event. You can decide to add Jitsi meeting link, use this, easily save. And then if you need to add guests, you just add the names of the guests. And once you click on save, there's going to be an option of, send, or once you actually click on save, there's going to be an option of just save, send, don't send. So if you click on send, everybody who has been added as your guest will really just get a sample of what that meeting is. They'll get it sent to their emails automatically. So, but for presentations, on the other hand, presentations are things that a lot of us actually do during the knowledge development session, which we have been scheduled for. And in the organization, we use Google Slide, remember? And currently, it's actually compulsory you use Google Slide because you just have to submit your slide link on the Bincom Dev Center app where it would be reviewed. Your slide is going to be reviewed. So if you're making a presentation, you need to make sure that you have maximum lighting for your camera. Your presentation is not really wordy. You can have screenshots, animations, or images. You need to also know that you're not reading out your presentation. I mean, you can do like pictures that are really, explanatory, and you have to be time conscious as well. That's really important. And then we have reporting, which is something we do every day, really. You give your report during your daily stand-ups, which is the morning and evening stand-up that holds on Jitsi. You do it after the close of work by submitting your daily reports. You also submit your reports, your weekly reports at the end of the week, but at most before 8 a.m. on Monday the following morning. And you have the monthly report, which is currently done by microservice owners. And we have several reporting channels. So the daily stand-up holds on Jitsi, the daily report holds on is something that is submitted on your Teams channel. The weekly report is submitted via a report form, same as the monthly report for microservice owners. So this is a sample of a same channel, right? This is the mobile app same front end. You can see what we have here as their description. So you can get the Jitsi link from here if you're mobile app same. But currently we use the Bincom Dev Center application. So you need to register on the application using your official email and choose whatever team that you are in. So once you sign in when it's time for your morning stand-up, you sign in and you choose stand-up, it automatically takes you to the link or the room where your stand-up would hold. And this is how the daily report looks like. You need to be submitted to your Teams channel. You have the task work on with the dates, what day is it, the month, the year, and several other information that you need to actually respond to as well. So this is how the weekly reports looks like. Your weekly reports, you need to make sure that while you're choosing your weekly report, it's the start of the previous week and the end of the previous week. It shouldn't be the week that you're just entering because you're filling the reports for the past week. Well, let's for example, at the end of Friday, I want to give my report. So my report date is going to start from the date January 30th to February 4th, because that's actually the week which I just finished working on. So same thing for the microservice owner monthly report. They also need to fill their reports using the Google form. Now, before we move to the chain of command, do we have any questions so far Are you having difficulty submitting your daily reports or your weekly reports and you're told that you're not submitting it properly? Any question, really? No question, you can always say no question.
No question.
Okay, that's from Collins. All right.
So I have a question.
Okay. All right, fine.
After filling the weekly reports in the documents, is it still necessary to post on our group, on our team's channel?
For the weekly report, no. So what you actually put up on your channel is the daily reports.
Oh, okay.
All right. I hope I answered your question.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that question, Taiwo. So let's look at the chain of command. In Bincom, every team has their team lead. So you are to accord your team leader with respect and report to him or her whenever you have issues. If your team lead is not reachable, you can reach out to the pro services team for whatever you want to escalate, a personal issue, a team related issue, tax delivery issue, whatever. You can reach out to someone from the pro services team. You can also send an email to the pro services team if you choose. Or you can also, if you also feel like that issue was not resolved the way you want it to resolve, you're not satisfied with, the resolution of that issue, you can also escalate to a member of the management team or a senior responsibility officer in charge of your team. For most of us that have team mentors, you can also escalate to your team mentor if you feel your team lead is unavailable or thereabout. So checking in, like I said, once when we started this meeting, you are to resume by 8 a.m. daily. This starts for persons on the full-time regular shift. And once you resume, you need to check in with where you are, if you're physically at home, if you're physically at the working hub, and you need to also check in virtually with your team name. So which team are you? You need to check in like that. So there are a lot of sample on the hashtag daily check-in channel on Slack. So you can easily just look at how it's being done and you can replicate. Remember the first line, which is check in virtually, it has to be wherever you're checking in from. So if you're checking in from Lagos, Abuja, UK, Iran, Kenya, wherever it says you're checking from needs to be there. So the last but not the least really is the open project, which is the organization's project management tool, where the entire team had to manage their project, their products, their services from. So like I mentioned with Trello, the open project board has to be aligned in a specific way. It's from pending, we have the design, architecture, planning, and process. You can easily get this breakdown from your team lead. You have the development and implementation, initial review, peer code review, beta version, completion, testing, deploy, documentation approval, delivered, and close. So all of this board, or let's call them cards rather, all of these cards has a specific reason, and each task actually moves from one board to the other up until it is closed. So if the card is not closed, it has not actually gotten to being closed, it's actually called open. So let's just explain a bit about it. So the pending card is where tasks that are yet to be worked on are done. And you place your design card or your tasks on the design and architecture card when your task is on the planning stage or prototype or designs or wireframes are being done. And you also move your card to development and implementation, your task to the development and implementation card once this once you plan to, kick off your execution. Same for initial review, you can place your card here if you're done with the implementation. And once the initial review phase is passed successfully, your card actually moves to the peer code review. You place your card on the beta version if you have passed the peer code review successfully. The tax has been approved by the product owner as well. So once the product owner approves the beta version stage, the card is moved to completion. And then we have the testing where that that tax has been tested, make sure that the functionalities are working the way it needs to work, and your tax is moved to deployed once it has been approved in the testing phase. It is then documented about, documentation is actually done about that tax, and it's moved to the documented card. So the documentation approval, this is when your documentation is done, it has been presented for approval to your team lead or your team mentor. You have to put that tax under this card, and you place your card under delivered if you are done with the documentation and it has been accepted or deployed successfully. So once your tax is successfully delivered, it is now moved to the closed option. So this is where we call an end to this session. Do we have any questions? If there are no questions, you can say no questions, and then I can ask a few questions to for us to answer. So, any question?
Yes, I have a question.
All right. Please go ahead, Elijah.
This slide, this information right now. Is
Yes.
there a way we can actually access it later? Because I'll be honest, most of the information you said in the beginning, I can only remember it was on the 30 minutes or so. So, like, is there any way we can go back and read back on what you said?
Okay. I think I answered. Bala also asked that question. Elijah, this document is accessible to anyone. You just have to request for it from the pro services team, and it's going to be shared with you. So from time to time, you can always come back, look at it, go through it yourself. I don't know if that helps.
I understand. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Do we have any more questions? All right. So no more questions. So I can just ask. I just have we have 5 persons on the call, so I'll just ask just 5 questions really. Fetia, what's the approved methodology? What's not the approved methodology? Sorry. No, I'm not a member of the pro services team. You can request this document from Peculiar or Comfort. They are part of the pro services team currently. So you can always request this from them from the random channel. So my question to you, Fetia, is what is the approved tool for project management in the organization? Okay, Fetia left the call. So let me ask that question to Collins. What tool do we use for project management in the organization? What's approved tool? Okay, you're muted. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. The approved tool for project management, it's still the project management tool. Or
Yes, it's the project management tool, but what's the name? Oh, you're muted again. Okay, so
I can't remember the name right now.
all right, that's fine. Taiwo, can you help out the name of the project management tool?
Is it Trello?
Oh, no, it's not Trello. Okay.
Google.
Sorry, repeat that, please.
Google products. Hello?
All right. No, it's not the Google Suite as well. Elijah, can you
Actually,
help?
Open project.
Yes. Yes, Open Project is the name. So the project management tool that is used in the organization is actually called Open Project. Yes. So a second question, where does daily stand-up hold? So Aliasan, you can answer. Where do we have our daily stand-ups?
Formerly it was on GT, but now we can have it on the Bincom Dev Center app.
Yes,
You
that's
just go
correct.
to
Yes, that's correct. Thank you very much for that, Alasan. Okay, so where do we hold our community events? Community events, knowledge development, weekly drills. Taiwo, this question is for you. Where do they hold? Okay, I don't know if Taiwo is still on the call. Elijah, where do the weekly drill, community events, knowledge development hold?
All over.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Zoom.
I can't hear you. No.
On Zoom.
Okay, on Zoom, that's correct. Thank you, Elijah. So my last question is, where do we have our official communication? Yes, Collins, you can answer.
On Slack, on the Slack channel.
Okay, that's correct. Now, this question is a bonus question, really. Is it compulsory to document activities, tasks, projects, products that are being worked on in the organization? Is it compulsory to do a documentation?
Yes.
compulsory.
Yes.
Okay. All right then. This is where I call this going to end. Thank you, everybody. You guys were really wonderful. Thank you for really the feedback and us working together till this time. And remember, you can